The lore behind Dredgen Bael is actually wild. So much so that I, a crayon eating titan, am going to share it with you. Centering Entry 2, What Mother? I've known Mother to be dead for longer than I knew her alive. I remember small moments. Falling asleep on her shoulder as she carried me home at night after a holiday party, teaching me to swim, singing as she washed dishes. I remember feeling safe with her. Even when Father shouted, her voice would silence him, protecting me, memories that comforted me until I saw her. The market at Bonnet Plaza in the West District. I was getting lunch outside the Mechanica home office. Keitel's logisticians, father's lick spittles, hiccups at factories 3 and 4, a miserable day. I had interred her. She was ash. But in this moment, I saw my mother moving through the crowd with her ghost flitting around her head. She had been dead for 3 years at this point. Somehow, the light had found her. It seems all it needed was ash. So his mom is dead for 3 years, and a ghost brings her back. But remember, Resurrection and Destiny 2 is not like this like happy reunion. You come back and you have no memories at all. So this could be an extremely traumatizing thing for a child to experience their dead mom of 3 years coming back. Like you would see like this is my mom, but it's like, that's not your mom, right? So it gets into this right here in a minute. 2 others chosen by the light marched at her side, bristling with weapons, leashed to their puppeteers, the chosen on some holy business to save humanity. So she comes back from the dead and immediately enters the fire team, and they go headfirst into the new dungeon, Equilibrium. Okay. She glowed, flush with heat, as if the fire that cremated her now animated her from within. Damn, she's using that solar subclass, you know? I cried out in horror, unable to stop myself. It made sense. Of course, the traveler would grant my beloved mother the gift every child in the last city dreams of, every dying elder longs for as they move away from the main of life, eternal life without fear. But when I embraced her, crying her name at the center of a cheering crowd, what did my mother do? She shoved me away. That is some trauma right there. That's crazy. And that kind of gives you a look into how Bale is, like why he's so dark and twisted, right? I felt the searing push of solar energy in her strength. She hit him with a charged melee, a sizzling reminder on my chest as I stumbled back and fell. Not a twinkle of recognition in her eyes, just discomfort. The look one gives a clamoring beggar that gets too close. Cold. She was cold. She was hideous, a doppelganger, homunculus. Her chirping idiot of a ghost commanded me to clear the way, and off they went. Bystanders helped me to my feet. Strangers, kinder than my own mother. So what is his resolve? Is this the truth of the light? Is this what it does? Animate the dead and possess them with ghosts, puppeteers who keep them hooked to life like a fish on a lure, to prey on desperation and transfix the city in this poisoned dream? What miracle makes a mother spit on her child? My memories of her are now curses, leaden dead weight, every single one a searing ember. Damn. So that's why he has such a vendetta, and that's why he acts in the manner in which he does. This is such a good lore entry that I really wish that this was a part of the cutscene, even if they did like an ink blot one, because this is like a real tangible, like you can feel his pain, and it makes so much sense to the Destiny lore and the timeline and how we understand resurrection to work. You know, we know that you come back and you don't have any memories of what happened before. And this can create some very peculiar situations like what we've seen with, you know, Crow, right? Who was resurrected from Aldrin, right? And that was obviously a very interesting, you know, story that was created from that, right? So this is kind of on a similar note, right? Where resurrection happens, and because they don't remember the person they were, then there's the people that knew them before they were resurrected looking at them with affection in the situation, and they just don't see the same thing. Instead, they're just resurrected and kind of turned into a zombie where you're just, you know, immediately you're resurrected, you're handed a gun, and you're saying, you know, get to the battlefield and start, you know, mowing down these alien species, right? And so, of course, he would have the perspective he does, which is interesting. I kind of like when the bad guys in the story have a perspective that is understandable to some degree, because when it's too like black and white and they're just a bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy because it's more interesting than them being, you know, understandable, then it's just weird. I don't know. I don't like it as much. It is sad, right? That is super sad. Let me know what you think down in the comments.